Hey there, fellow travelers, Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're here in Concord, New Hampshire for the don'ts of visiting the beautiful state of New Hampshire. And I gotta tell you, the Granite State, it's got a lot of do's and a few don'ts you should know, and I think any good traveler needs to start off with a really good breakfast. And my first don't for you is don't forget to drown the fantastic pancakes you have here in New Hampshire with New Hampshire maple syrup. I mean, my God, here in the Northeast, they have fantastic, made right here. Like, you will see the trees they come from, maple syrup, and it's wonderful. So make sure you get that 100% pure New Hampshire maple syrup when you're here. And yes, you can take some home for your friends or take some home for yourself, which is what I do. Now, my next note for you is when you are here in New Hampshire, don't think that they're insulting you when they call you a flatlander. Look, the flatlander is not a flat earther, okay? They're not anything similar. A flatlander is what people from New Hampshire call people that aren't from New Hampshire, especially people that are from New England that aren't from here, because this is the Granite State. You've got mountains, you've got lakes, you've got valleys, you've got gorges, you've got all kinds of beautiful nature here to go and explore, and it's up and down, and you'll see that when you drive. And so anybody that's not from here, well, they're flatlanders. So don't take it as an insult. It's kind of a nice way they call the people that aren't from around here, because they got some other words for people that aren't from here, and I'll talk about that later in the don'ts, okay? And that's just it. That whole flatlanders thing goes into my next don't for you, and that is don't miss out on hiking and exploring when you're here in New Hampshire, because it is gorgeous. There's so many trails and paths for you to go on that you're going to enjoy, so don't miss out on them. So whether you're going to the White Mountains, or you're going to Cardigan Mountain, or you're going to be going to Lost River Gorge, I mean, there's so many different places you can go, so don't forget to bring those good shoes to do some of the hikes. And they have more advanced hiking things you can do up in those mountains. I mean, you've got lots of peaks you can go to, but also you have easier hikes for families to go on and enjoy and just walk around some of the beautiful lakes here in New Hampshire. Now, since I'm here in Concord, I think it's really important I mention this. Don't call it Concord. It's Concord, New Hampshire. This is the capital of New Hampshire, Concord. It's not Concord, which is, you know, a grape or a supersonic plane. No. It's Concord. Remember, Concord, like Concord. That's how you say it when you're here. And if you can come in the summer during Concord days, which we've come to before, it's a wonderful time to visit. And speaking of visiting New Hampshire, one of the reasons why the neighboring Flatlanders like to come and visit New Hampshire is this: don't worry about sales tax, because there are no sales taxes here in New Hampshire. So when you go and buy things, the price you see is the price you pay, which is awesome. So for my European friends that come here, you're used to seeing that's the price. I pay that and I walk away. Most places in the U.S., oh no, you got to add on another 10% out of the price after you see the price tag. So just remember, here in New Hampshire, nah man, you pay what you see. Now, another shopping don't I have for you is don't think you're going to be able to get your liquor and wine everywhere around the state. You actually have to go to the state-run liquor store to get it. But don't think there's beer at the liquor store, because you can get the beer at the gas stations and stuff. But the liquor, you got to go to the liquor store at. And what's funny is some of them are literally like on the highway, so it'll be like a rest area with a liquor store. And honestly, it's one of the things you got to do when you're here. But don't think all the liquor stores are only on the highway. Like here in Concord, there's one right downtown. You can go and pick up your stuff, but just be aware there's a little bit of different liquor buying when you are here in New Hampshire. Now, another thing people ask about when they travel is safety, and I gotta tell you, don't worry about your safety when you're here in New Hampshire. This is actually one of the safest, statistically safest states you can visit in the U.S., so go and enjoy. And I mean, honestly, the most danger you're gonna have is when the moose are crossing the road, and if you see one of those moon signs, watch out for a moose on the road, that is actually a serious thing, so do be aware of that. I think another kind of safety don't I have for you is don't expect to have cell service everywhere in the state, because it's so mountainous, because there's so much nature here. There will be areas where you don't get a good cell signal, and that can freak people out sometimes. So maybe download on your phone the map so you can have it offline as well. But in general, that's probably really the only safety things I actually would worry about here in New Hampshire. Unless you're coming here at leaf peeping season, because I gotta tell you, don't forget your leaf peeping etiquette when you come here to New Hampshire. That means you don't stop in the middle of the road to get that picture. You don't slow down to 10 miles an hour. You gotta go. And the thing is around New Hampshire, you don't have as many spots to turn off and take in the leaves, so it's a lot more driving. So what I recommend, if you're gonna come do the leaf peeping here, bring a friend that's not super into the leaf peeping, you know, seeing the leaves change, So they can do the driving and you can do the, oh my God, that's beautiful. Oh, look over there, that's beautiful. Oh, look at those trees there. Look at the oranges, look at the reds. Oh my gosh. So then you can enjoy that more, because that's one of the things that might upset the locals if you're going a little too slow and keeping them from getting to work. So just have a heads up. And also, don't forget to reserve your accommodation during the fall, during leaf peeping season, because the bed and breakfast book out, the hotels book out, and you want to make sure you have a spot so you can go back and talk about the beautiful scenery you saw when you drove around New Hampshire doing your leaf peeping. But also, I gotta say, don't think that it's only worth driving around New Hampshire during leaf peeping season, because honestly, it's gorgeous going here. Like I said, with the White Mountains and going around the lakes and everything, it is a beautiful state. And the thing is, we're talking about all this driving, but I got another thing for you. Don't forget to take the train to enjoy some of the beauty of New Hampshire. And the thing is, I'm not talking like the Amtrak train. I'm talking the Mount Washington Cog Railway. You can go up and you go up to the top of Mount Washington. You can see 4 states from there on a good day. On a day like today, you'll see a lot of clouds, but it's beautiful up there. It can be a bit windy, so have a heads up, but you can do that. Also, you can take the Conway Scenic Railway as well to take that in to see some of the nature here. So don't worry, it's not all driving when you're here. And here's another thing. Don't forget, New Hampshire actually does have a shoreline. Yes, it is the shortest state shoreline in the U.S., but hey, they have a shoreline that you can go to and go to Hampton Beach and go see the little resort kind of places that are there with your family. It's super popular in the summer to go get some of that fantastic seafood. Yes, New Hampshire does have seafood because they do have that coast there. So you know how I mentioned the Flatlander name that you don't need to be really insulted by or anything? Well, they actually have 2 tourists that kind of come by here that they maybe aren't the super biggest fans from. One are the massholes, the tourists from Massachusetts that drive like crazy, and the Maine maniacs, that also drive a little bit different than they do here in New Hampshire. So, but they call you a masshole or a maniac, just know that they're commenting on your driving ability. And maybe if you're from Maine or Massachusetts, don't tell them you're from there. Just tell them hey, we're just flatlanders visiting beautiful New Hampshire. That might help you get past any of the masshole jokes or into the maniac jokes. Because honestly, people from New Hampshire don't like to be called that they're from Maine, because hey, we're our own state here. And I think that whole thing with Maine and Massachusetts and the Flatlanders really goes back to the motto of New Hampshire, which is live free or die. You'll see it on their license plates. You'll see it on flags around town. You'll see it on t-shirts. It really is a thing. And don't forget the rest of that saying. Live free or die. Death is not the worst of evils, because the people here really believe in New Hampshire. They believe in themselves, and so they take care of themselves. That's why you don't see a lot of, you do see a lot of hardware stores and DIY kind of places, but honestly, the people in New Hampshire are very much, we're going to take care of ourselves, so don't think of it as somebody else, because we are New Hampshire. Because they don't just love that motto, they love their state as well, and you'll see that when you're here, when you're going through small towns like Keene, or you're going to be here in Concord, or you're going up north. I mean, it's just a beautiful state with lots to enjoy, and you'll understand why those people from New Hampshire love it so much, and they're not cool when you think they're from Maine. Anyway, I wish y'all the best. I'll say bye from here in Concord.